Hi there. So we're on day 293 of our Through the Bible in 1 Year. And today they have us reading. Let's move this a little bit. There we go. Today they have us reading Matthew 6, Mark 8, and some verses in Luke 9. So let's get to it, shall we? The yeast of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. The Pharisees and Sadducees approached, and as a test, asked him to show a sign from heaven. He answered them, when evening comes, you say, it'll be good weather because the sky is red, and in the morning, today it will be storming because the sky is red and threatening. You know how to read the appearance of the sky, but you can't read the signs of the times. An evil and adulterous generation demands a sign, but no sign will be given to it except the sign of Jonah. Then he left them and went that way. Sign of Jonah, 3 days, right? The disciples reached the other shore, and then he left them and went away. The disciples reached the other shore, and they had forgotten to take bread. Jesus told them, watch out and beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees. And they discussed among themselves, we didn't bring any bread. Again, Jesus said, you have little faith. Why are you discussing among yourselves that you do not have bread? Don't you understand yet? Don't you remember the 5 loaves and the 5,000? And how many baskets you collected? Or 7 loaves and the 4,000? And how many baskets you collected? Why is it you don't understand when I told you, beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees? It wasn't about bread. Then they understood that he did not tell them to beware of the yeast and the bread, but the teaching of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Right. Beware of these pastors today. When Peter's confession of the past. When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, who do people say that the Son of Man is? And they said, some say John the Baptist, others Elijah, still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. But he asked them, who do you say I am? Simon Peter answered, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And Jesus responded, Simon, son of Jonah, you are blessed because flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father in heaven. And I also say to you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the forces of Hades will not overpower it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth is already bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth is already loosed in heaven. And he gave the disciples orders to tell no one that he was the Messiah. His death or resurrection predicted. From then on, Jesus began to point out to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from elders, chief priests, and scribes, be killed and raised on the 3rd day. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. Oh, no, Lord, this will never happen to you. But he turned to Peter. Get behind me, Satan. You are an offense to me because you are not thinking about God's concerns, but man's. Oh, take him across. Then Jesus said to his disciple, if anyone wants to come with me, he must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life because of me will find it. What will it benefit a man if he gains the whole world yet loses his life? Or what will a man give in exchange for his life? For the Son of Man is going to come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and then he will reward each according to what he has done. I assure you, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. What do you think of that? Okay, Mark 8. This is from yesterday, feeding the 4,000. In those days there was once again a large crowd, and they had nothing to eat. He summoned his disciples and said to them, I have compassion on the crowd because they have already stayed with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. If I send them home hungry, they will collapse on the way, and some of them have come a long distance. His disciples asked him, where could we go and get anyone enough bread in this desolate place to fill these people? How many loaves do you have? He asked them. 7, they said. He then commanded the crowd to sit down on the ground. Taking the 7 loaves, he gave thanks, broke the loaves, and kept giving them to his disciples to set before the people. So they served the loaves to the crowd. They also had a few small fish, and when he had blessed them, he said that these were to be served as well. They ate and were filled and collected 7 large baskets of leftover pieces. About 4,000 men were there, plus wives, plus kids, right? He dismissed them and immediately got into the boat with his disciples and went to the district of Dalmanutha, east of the Pharisees and Herod. There you go, this one again. The Pharisees came out and began to argue with him, demanding of him a sign from heaven to test him. But sighing deeply in his spirit, he said, "Why does this generation demand a sign? I assure you, no sign will be given to this generation." Then he left them, got on board the boat again, and went to the other side. They had forgotten to take bread and had only one loaf with them on the boat. Then he commanded, "Watch out, beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and the yeast of Herod." Pharisees and Sadducees, the other one said. They were discussing among themselves, and they did not have any bread. Aware of this, he said to them, "Why are you discussing that you do not have any bread? Don't you understand and comprehend? Is your heart hardened? Do you have eyes and not see, and have ears and not hear? And do you not remember when I broke 5 loaves for 5,000, and how many baskets of pieces of bread did you collect?" 12, they told him. "When I broke the 7 loaves for 4,000, how many baskets of bread did you collect?" 7, they said. And he said to them, "Don't you understand yet?" And now this one doesn't say it was the yeast of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Sadducees don't believe in heaven. They believe once you die, you die. They're Sadducees, right? An old Sunday school teacher told me that. Okay. Healing a blind man. Then they came to Bethsaida. They brought a blind man to him and begged him to touch him. He took the blind man by the hand and brought him out of the village. Spitting on his eyes and laying his hands on him, he asked him, "Do you see anything?" He looked up and said, "I see people. They look like trees. They look to me like trees walking." Again, Jesus placed his hand on the man's eyes, and he saw distinctly. He was cured and could see everything clearly. Then he sent him home, saying, "Don't even go into the village." I wish he would do that to me. Right? Peter's confession of the Messiah. Right, here we go. Jesus went out with his disciples in the village of Caesarea Philippi, and on the road he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that I am?" They answered him, "John the Baptist, others Elijah, still others one of the prophets." "But you," he asked them again, "who do you say that I am?" Peter answered him, "You are the Messiah." And he strictly warned them to tell no one about him. And now the other one said that he would build his church on Peter, right? His death and resurrection predicted. Then he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed and raised after 3 days. He was openly talking about this, so Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. Right, rebuking Jesus. That's funny, huh? Turning around and looking at his disciples, he rebuked Peter, saying, "Get behind me, Satan, because you are not thinking about God's concern, but man's." Right. Take up your cross. Summoning the crowd along with his disciples, he said to them, "If anyone wants to be my follower, he must deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life because of me and the gospel will save it. For what does it benefit a man to gain the whole world yet lose his life? What can a man give in exchange for his life? For whoever is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will also be ashamed of him when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels." That. Okay, Luke 9, just 18 through 27, like 10 verses. Okay. Peter's confession of Messiah, again, covering all the stories. While he was praying in private, his disciples were with him, he asked, "Who do the crowd say that I am?" Okay, one has him sitting, one has him walking on the road, and this one has him praying. They're remembering this years later. They answered, "John the Baptist, others Elijah, still others one of the ancient prophets has come back." "But you," he said, "who do you say that I am?" Peter answered, "God's Messiah." Right? And the other ones told him not to say anything. But he strictly warned them against expecting them to tell this to no one, saying, "The Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, chief priests, and scribes, be killed and raised on the 3rd day. Take up your cross. Then he said to them all, if anyone wants to come with me, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. Daily. You got that? Or others omit daily. Whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life because of me will save it. What is a man benefited if he gains the whole world, yet loses or forfeits himself? For whoever is ashamed of me and my words, the Son of Man will be ashamed of him when he comes in his glory, and that of the Father and his holy angels. I tell you the truth, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the kingdom of God. Okay? Does it mean some of these guys are still alive today? Maybe. It's possible. God can do anything, right? So there you go. That's day 293, I think, or 2 or something. So what's tomorrow? Matthew 17, Mark 9, and Luke. We're just continuing in these books. Okay? So there you have it. That's today's reading in our Through the Bible in a Year. 293 is the day it was. So we're getting pretty close, right? 77 days left, and then we'll be finished. Amazing. Catch up on any man missed. We started the New Testament on September 30th. We've been doing this all year. This is day 293 in a row. Never missed a day. So give us a like if you think about it, okay? Until tomorrow, keep studying. We'll be back for more.